Here's the problem that I have with Kawhi Leonard. They have this old saying that goes around the country of America, right? The United States, and it's not just in the South. Kawhi Leonard is a guy that throws stones and hide his hand, all right? And when it comes down to it, we have been letting him off the hook for too long. We have been letting him off the hook for too long. And he's a guy that flies under the radar, that has been doing sneaky stuff, been getting catered to, and just because he's quiet, we don't address him. We looking at this situation with him and Russell Westbrook. This is supposed to be your homie. This is a confidential conversation. You don't use this conversation or ignore this brother phone call to go lure Paul George to come to the Clippers. By the way, when you get to the Clippers, the firing of Doc Rivers, everybody wanted to point the finger at Paul George, but Paul George wasn't the only one that had a saying in firing Doc Rivers. Kawhi Leonard was right there with him, but nobody wanted to blame Kawhi Leonard for what he was doing. And then to top it off, you look at this season alone, right? Kawhi Leonard gets hurt, he goes down. Most of the time when you see a guy go down and your team is in the heat of the battle and they're in the playoffs, they not in the suite, wiggling their toes, eating steak and shrimp. They down there on the bench, encouraging their teammates. They're in the trenches with their guys, giving pep talks, helping the young guys like Terrence Mann be down there in the trenches. So look, we heard about the helicopter rides to the practice facility and to the plane being held up and being late, not being able to take off on time because they was waiting on Kawhi Leonard. Let LeBron James do some stuff like that and watch how people go in the media and kill them. And I'm part of the problem because we should have been addressed this like the numbers on the house. Carry the hell on.
All right, Kendrick. I mean, I can't disagree with anything that you said there. But the one thing that I'm confused about is you did this to me earlier. You were wrong, but you tried to do it. You tried to go back to yesterday and point out a slight contradiction that I actually didn't make. But I feel like yesterday I was saying some of these things, like Kawhi was being a little bit dishonest with the organization. And you responded to me by saying, no, he was in communication. They love Kawhi there. Kawhi is looking out for everybody. They was trying to keep the other team on their toes. That's why he wasn't telling people what was going on. So I feel you. I'm with you. Kawhi does seem like some of the things that he's doing is a little bit sketchy, but I'm just confused at what happened. It was just they took this one story to put you over the top to come to my side?
No. You see, when you get a clean cut, and you come on here looking like Lil Boosie, you think you slick, right? But I ain't falling for it because we was talking about the injury. We was talking about the injury to Kawhi Leonard. We never talked about what happened behind the scenes. We talked about the injury part of it and about them covering that up for us, him tearing his ACL. I never talked about him sitting up in the suite and being catered to and the way that he's been handling things behind the scenes and not being held accountable. We talked about them hiding his injury. That's what the communication part is. You tried to be slick, but you can't out-slick a slick, okay?
Marcus,
Perk, I love it.
Feel free.
I love it. But you're right, man. You're right. I felt like Kawhi has skated by a little bit on a lot of things he's done. And obviously when you look at it from a perspective of a player taking ownership of his own career, we all applaud that. We all sit here and applaud when a guy is making decisions based on not only his future, but setting himself up in a position to be successful. But even on the basketball court, like the Clippers ain't accomplished what they supposed to. Like I like all of the off the court stuff. I don't know the details of those stories. I know this is shady with him and this Russell Westbrook and Paul George situation. But even on the court, like Ballmer when Kawhi signed with the Los Angeles Clippers, the goal and plan was to win a championship. Y'all know who has won a championship since they made that decision? LeBron James going over to the Lakers. That's the issue that I have with Kawhi Leonard. That's the issue because when Kawhi left and went to the Clippers and brought Paul George in, first it was some demands made to get Paul George there in order for him to commit to it. And secondly, they ain't where they supposed to be. So Perk, for all you guys, all you NBA aficionados, all you guys that cover this league, beyond Kawhi's shade and the things that he's done off the court, he ain't done a damn thing on the court. And I know injuries played a part into this year, and I get it. But Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and that Clippers team, even when they brought Doc in, was not signed for some 2 to 3 year window playing. They were signed to win a championship. So amongst other things that you beefing about with Kawhi, on the court, it would have been LeBron that went to LA and not brought a championship in 2 or 3 years based on the things they did to get him there. And we would be having that conversation as well, along with what we found out about the phone call with Russell Westbrook. I'm with you. It's shady. It ain't right. And ultimately, the decisions that he made ain't led to what the hell the Clippers thought it was going to lead to, and that's an NBA championship. It's been disappointing all the way around.
The argument on the other side, and I agree, this is something that I can't really condone and support, but the argument on the other side is just because somebody called you first, you owe them some loyalty? Like, we don't know. This was the story that Ramona got, and I believe her story, but we don't know that he didn't have Paul George targeted, and then once somebody else call you, you can't then go call that teammate. Like, to me, I understand all the things and the track record. The reason why I agree with you, Perk, is because it's a track record. I think just this one incident, based on the facts that we have, this one incident is not quite enough for me to be over the top about how he is a bit selfish. But I agree because it shows a track record. I don't think that if a guy call you, that means you then can't play with his teammate ever.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.